Hello everybody, this is Josh back with another deck profile, one of the decks that I was testing for German Nationals. And I figured since pretty much the entire list has been up on stream already, I might as well give you guys the deck profile on YouTube in advance in case anyone is considering this deck for Nationals. Maybe this is, valuable input for you. I'm not quite sure myself yet if I'm gonna play this deck at Nationals. I'd never show the deck I'd play at Nationals on my YouTube the week before, right? Right. So this is my Salamangreat Code Talker deck profile that if I was to play Salamangreat at Nationals, it probably would look something like this. So yeah, let's get into it. For the monsters, we start with 3 Flame Buffalo. Probably the best normal summon you can have in this format because it also plays through Mirror Jade because it also triggers when it gets banished. We play 3 Microcoder, I'll get back to this later. 3 Paralytic Seed because we're trying to make Baguska because it auto wins the Despia matchup pretty much on its own. 3 Jaguar, 2 Spinny, 1 Foxy, 1 Gazelle, and 1 Mirror are the only Salamangreats we're running. It's a smaller package. We're using these more. It's less of a traditional Salamangreat deck. It's more like a Cyber's toolbox. And this is pretty much all you need. The only one that's really interesting here, I think, is the mirror. The mirror is in here. For anyone who doesn't know what it does, if the mirror is added to your hand by a card effect, you can special summon it. And if it's in your hand, you can discard a Salamangreat to special summon it as well. And you can only use each effect once per turn. So what this does is it helps you play through a Mirror Jade Banish on your normal summon. If you have a Signet Mining or a Circle, you can still get a Salamangreat onto the board, which I think is very valuable. And also it's just an extender that level 2 used to be bad back in the day, but since it's like Link era now with like we go for Update Jammer combos anyways, and this works for Update Jammer, so that's fine. Anyways, hand traps. Salamangreat wouldn't be Salamangreat without hand traps. We run 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, 2 Nibiru, and 3 Imperm. It's only 2 Nibiru because I wanted to keep it 40. The Nibiru can be any hand trap depending on your national metagame that you predict. It could be Crow if you predict mostly Despia. It could be Drone Lockbird if you predict some other stuff like Drytron or whatever. This is a flex spot. The other 9 are pretty good though. Spells. Signet Minings and Circles for consistency cards as well as the Pod Desires. The one Sanctuary because it's just an engine requirement. We got the Called by the Grave, the Harpy's Feather Duster for a main deck Mystic Mine out, which I highly recommend you do. And then as the only other trap, we run Signet Conflict. We don't run any Salamangreat trap cards. This is the card you can search off Microcoder, which Microcoder makes it so you can use it from hand as a link material when you're making a Code Talker link. And if it's used as link material for a Code Talker link, it searches a Signet spell or trap, which is either Signet Conflict or Signet Mining. The way we play this deck turn 1 is we don't try to leave any Salamangreat links on the board. We try to make Heat Soul plus the counter trap plus Baguska. And that's why I'm not running any Salamangreat traps. Any hand that has the Microcoder in it or a Signet Mining for the Microcoder ends on pretty much Baguska Heat Soul plus this, which Heat Soul draws you 2 cards, which gives you hand traps, which is, I think, more than enough to beat most decks, which is why I'm not running any Salamangreat traps. But this all becomes a little more apparent when we're getting to the extra deck. Which is 2 Balinks, only 2, and only 1 Sunlight Wolf. We're not running any Salamangreat trap cards. We're not playing a Salamangreat grind game as much as we used to in 2019. This deck uses 1 Salamangreat Sunlight Wolf on the first turn to recover the Gazelle most of the time, but then turn 2, if it gets to a turn 2 and you like have the Baguska on board and stuff like that, you're just going to go into the Cyber's Link Climb combos to kill the opponent. We got 1 Almirage, which is just here in case you have a Jaguar in the grave and you need follow-up and you don't have a normal summon except for a hand trap, which happens quite frequently. And then you can make a Salamangreat link allowing you to bring back Jaguar. Linguribo is first of all good against trap decks and second of all very necessary to get the second attribute for Heat Soul, because most of the other stuff is fire, so you can turn a Cyberse into a dark monster and that works. The Link Spider is here just for Nibiru. Playing around Nibiru after siding or even game 1 can be very crucial since this is a Cyberse monster. You turn the token into a Cyberse and then any 1 extender gets you to Splash Mage, brings back another Cyberse, you get the drill. We have the 1 Code Talker, which is necessary in case, like normally you try to make, of course, Heat Soul the star of the deck with the Microcoder. Where is he? with the microcoder, you try to make heat soul, but sometimes you only have like a normal summon, it gets negated or whatever, and then you make the code talk with this, and you can get your Signet Mine, you get going. And then heat soul is definitely the star of the deck. We try to make this turn 1 every time. We play 11 hand traps, so we have a very good chance when we make this to draw. We draw 2 cards, we have a very high chance of drawing hand traps. We make Baguska under it, that's what the Parallel Exceed and the Jaguars and the whole Salamangreat engine is for. And yeah, we try to end on this Baguska and the counter trap, which is very hard to beat for any deck in the meta right now, which makes this deck a little unfair. And then even if they have a way to beat it, if they have, you know, a way to bait this, have a droplet, we draw a couple hand traps with this card, which is very consistent. And we always have follow-up if we make this. Yeah, which is why I chose to run this build over like the traditional Salamangreat trap, hand trap control. Yeah, I like the code talkers. We got Update Jammer. We got Phoenix. The Phoenix could be a second Axis code talker, which I currently only run 1. Just currently, I only have 1. You could definitely run 2. It's kind of marginal though. You don't need it every time. If you wanted a second one, you could cut the Phoenix or the Link Spider. I've been liking him though. And then we got 1 transcode, which is here for the transcode Update Jammer into Axis code into million damage, which we didn't have access to that in 2019. But now we do, so we never need to play like the grind game with like infinite Salamangreat Link monsters. We can just win on turn 2 every time. And then we play the 1 Stalio. Sometimes you avoid making this because it locks you out of certain effects. Like it forces you to use the Parallel Exceed very early on, which plays into Nibiru. But the main way how you make Baguska if you don't draw the Parallel Exceed is of course still Gazelle sends a Jaguar to the graveyard, and then the Stalio summons a second Jaguar from the deck. The first one comes back, and that's your Baguska right there. This is also the reason why I'm running triple Jaguar. I don't think Falco is very good. I think Jaguar is the best normal summon out of all these Salamangreats, because it itself, even in a completely bricked hand, Jaguar makes Heat Soul. And I'll show you how real quick. You go normal summon Jaguar, you make Balinks, you grab the field spell, you activate the field spell, you link the Balinks into a second Balinks. You use the Jaguar effect, shuffling the first Balinks back, reborning itself, making Splash Mage. Splash Mage brings this back, and that makes Heat Soul. This is why Jaguar is like the best normal summon Salamangreat on its own. I mean, Gazelle does the same thing, but you know. And so even a bricked hand, that's what I really like about Salad in this new era of Heat Soul, is like Salad, even if it gets hand trapped or if it opens a mediocre hand, it will still end on this draw 2 cards, which with the amount of hand traps that we play is definitely a game you can still win. Whereas the bricks back in the day used to be real bricks. So if you got hand trapped one time too often, it would actually be ending on nothing, and you can always make this pretty much. Yeah, that's it for the extra deck. And then very quickly, the side deck. The side deck is kind of basic, but I don't think you have to do anything fancy with this deck. I run 3 Token Collector and 3 Crow just so we can add additional hand traps for going second, and just in general, if those are good in the matchup, we can just like add even more hand traps to draw with Heat Soul. And we also have the 3rd Nibiru, mainly for combo and Sword Soul and mirror matches. 3 Twin Twister for anything back row related. This deck has a couple of good discards, so we choose Twin over Cosmic. And then, because this deck at the end of the day is still very fair, when we go first, we side, you know, the good stuff, the anti-spell and the D-barriers. Because we have additional draw power with Desires and Heat Soul and Buffalo, we have a very high chance of seeing these going first and just auto-winning any game going first after siding, especially against SPR or Sword Soul. Which is one of the other advantages of this deck. It's like relatively consistent, and it has all these auto wins post side when going first, while there's not that many auto wins against this deck, because you know it doesn't lose to D-barrier, it doesn't lose to anti-spell. It does struggle a little bit against Nibiru, but you know any deck in this format has blowout cards against it. So yeah, I've been liking it. I think it's solid. I think it's a good budget option, of course. I think that matters to some people. So yeah, in case you considered Salamangreat for your nationals, I think it's a solid pick. And I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, you know, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Twitch link is also in the description below, where basically I built this deck together with chat. And I think it turned out quite well. So yeah, check the links out and have a good day. Peace.